It's 10 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order. I certify we do have a quorum. All 5 members are present. Opening prayer this morning will be by Pastor James Reed of Mountain Springs Bible Church, and that will be followed by our pledges led this morning by Commissioner Arndt. If you would, please rise.
Lord, we thank you for all the bountiful blessings that you've given us. Father, we just thank you so much for those. Father, as we come to this holy week, let us be mindful of the work that our Lord and Savior did on the cross, that he shed his blood for us. Father, we just thank you so much for that. Father, we ask that as this Commissioner Court goes forward, as the leaders of this country go forward, to be mindful that they're appointed by you, and that their works are there to glorify you, Father. As we put our trust and our hope in our leaders, Father, let us have confidence in them that they're following your will and way. We pray this in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee in Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Item number 6, proclamation declaring National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical service, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from the citizens who telephone the Cooke County Emergency Communications Center, and whereas public safety telecommunications are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of Cooke County have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fire, and treatment of patients, and whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the last year. Therefore, be it resolved that the Cooke County Commissioners Court declares the week of April 11th through 17th, 2022 to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Cooke County, in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keeps our county and citizens safe. Thank you.
Move to approve. Second.
Have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I'd like to go ahead and move on to 7, do our recognition, and then we'll break for a minute to take some pictures and give the sheriff an opportunity to speak. You want to speak first?
Well, for our 911 communications operators,
Okay, go.
just thank you all for recognizing them. They truly do extraordinary work on a daily basis. Have 2 of them here this morning. So we have Alex Jones and Amanda King, 2 of our communication operators here this morning. Just to give you a couple of numbers, in 2021, they answered 19,278 calls for service. 14,300 were law enforcement related, and 4,978 were fire department EMS related. So thank you for recognizing them. They do a great job every day.
Thank you for everything you do. Item number 7, recognition of Deputy Jamie Skaggs for Life-Saving Award. Deputy Jamie Skaggs on Monday. You read it? All right.
So I want to present our first life-saving award here this morning before you in court. Very proud of Deputy Jamie Skaggs, so I'm just going to read it to him. On Monday, March 21st, 2022 at 19:34 hours, you responded to a traffic accident at the 490 mile marker on Interstate 35. When you arrived, you noticed that the driver of the vehicle was not responsive and did not appear to have a pulse. You took quick action to remove the driver from the vehicle, began CPR, which resulted in the life of the driver being saved. We would like to take this opportunity to express our appreciation for your exceptional work in performing life-saving measures. Your outstanding efforts help to make Cooke County, Texas a safer place for the citizens. Thank you very much. Some of you may not remember March 21st, but at the same time that Deputy Skaggs was performing this duty, remember a tornado was rolling through parts of our county. So pretty hectic, and still he saved his life. So I'll let you all look at the
Wow, that is nice. Yeah, cool. Neat, neat. There you go, Sheriff. Congratulations. Thank you.
We're going to recess for about 3 minutes, take some pictures with these young ladies, if they would, with us for just a minute. normal session when Commissioner Snuggs gets here.
Last I saw.
Yeah, they didn't hook him up, that's
They were
good.
putting handcuffs on him.
I told you he kept jacking with him, he's gonna put you in jail, I didn't believe him.
Okay, it is 10:10. We'll resume normal session. Next item on our agenda would be item 8, our consent agenda. The consent agenda includes non-controversial and routine items that the court may act on with one single vote. The judge or commissioner may pull any item from the consent agenda in order for the court to discuss and act upon it individually. Is there anything that we need to discuss on the consent agenda?
I need to pull G.
Full G.
Anything else? I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda excluding G.
Second.
Have a motion to approve consent agenda excluding G from Commissioner Clement, a second by Commissioner Art. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. The consent agenda passes less item G. Item G, deliberate and consider possible approval of surplus by salvage of table saw inventory 11-083 located at Road and Bridge Precinct 1.
You might note that inventory number, 1103, I'm assuming that's 1983, but for clarification, that's not a table saw, that's a cutoff saw. And it has served us well for about 40 years, so it's done now.
Okay.
So, but it is a cutoff saw, not a table saw.
Okay, so we'll change that from a table saw to a cutoff saw.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion to approve the change of the description on item G from table saw to cutoff saw by Commissioner Hollowell and a second by Commissioner Snuggs. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay.
Y'all didn't have anything ugly to say about R?
Well,
In recognition of our auditor being extended for another 2 years, I'd like to make the proclamation that we appreciate everything she does. Thank you, Shelley.
I got asked for it, it doesn't work. I mean, I had things planned, but I figured, no.
Item number 9, open public hearing. It is 10:14. We will open the public hearing for replat of Lot 1R and ZR of NBC Property Subdivision Precinct 1 as requested by Jimmy Don and Diane Crabtree.
That's an old, I'm sorry.
Anyone here to speak on the replat?
All the
Morning.
plat is just a basic landowner. Jimmy Don Crabtree owns all the land. He wanted to sell a part of it off for a single-family residence. I think they want to eventually change it out where it's not at all a subdivision. I could be wrong because whoever subdivided X amount of years ago never done anything with it. But that's all it is, just for one single-family home on that 5.42 acres, and there's a driveway which is 60 foot wide by Gary's asked for us to be 60 foot wide all the way to County Road 113 to get to the property.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
But there's no action today that I know of to vacate the subdivision. You don't want to vacate that, you're not requesting we vacate that subdivision, right?
No.
Yeah, okay.
They won't do that. They're thinking about doing that in the future. That way they don't have to go through this whole replat process again, if they ever do that.
Okay, we won't deal with that right now.
No,
about that.
that might be 10 years down the road. I'll try to talk them out of it, to be honest.
Are you familiar with this, Kathy?
Gary too.
Okay.
I knew about the new plat, I just wasn't aware of the, considering the vacating of the subdivision, the reason I asked the question.
Sure. Anyone else would like to speak about the replat? Then it is 10:16. We'll close the public hearing. Item 11, deliberate and consider possible approval of replat of Lot 1R and 2R of NBC Property Subdivision in Precinct 1.
We ready for a motion to approve
I
now?
believe.
I'd make the motion to approve the replat.
Second.
I have a motion to approve the replat of lots 1R and 2R of NBC Property Subdivision Precinct 1 by Commissioner Hollowell and a second by Commissioner Snuggs. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 12, deliberate and consider possible approval of Farm to Market 2848 RV Park in Precinct 3. I have a request to speak by Alan Kazin. Is that correct? How are you this morning, sir?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I just wrote a few notes, so I'll be very brief. While I don't necessarily have a problem with RV parks, I do have a problem with the amount of density, how close they are together, and the ultimate effect they have on the tax base of our community. You know, when they're first put in, they look really good, but over the years, many of them become permanent structures, and they don't offer a good tax base, especially to our school districts. Having been a member of the Valley View School District, and within a month will be on the school board, I am not speaking for them. But I've driven each one of these, and I've noticed many porches on all of them, which means, you know, they're long-term. Well, in Valley View School District, we have over 220 of these pad sites already, with another proposed, and I know there's another one going to be proposed out by the state park. I just want the Commissioners Court to consider the numbers of these that we have in our school district and in our area, and the long-term effect it may have on not only the community, but the taxable value of those same areas as they get older. Thank you.
What was your name?
Alan Cass.
Okay, what are you talking about?
Yes, sir.
Are we allowed to talk back?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Okay, it's agenda.
It's agenda.
We read, for everybody, media and everything, we redrew our the subdivision guidelines for the RV park, but there's only so much we can do. We don't have any control or any power.
I understand that there's only so much that can be done.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let y'all know that there are numerous people in the community that do have some concerns about this.
I just don't want anybody to think, I just don't want anybody to think that we can do something and we're not. We don't have the power to.
Everyone around me that's aware of this, they understand what the situation is. They're not saying something has to be done.
Okay.
I just want y'all to consider that in the future, you know, these people don't, or these properties don't provide a lot of taxable value because they have RVs on them. And they can look really nice, and I've seen numerous ones of them. I have an RV myself. I just don't want it to become something where we have so many of these that it really hurts our ability to grow our school, grow our community, grow everything.
But right, that's what I'm saying, we can't stop it.
And I understand that.
Yeah.
I do. I understand everything about it. I tried to do the research. I just wanted to voice my opinion.
I understand, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate the phone call and everything too.
Okay.
Yeah, good to put a name with the face.
Something we did attempt to do is address the density issue somewhat, because it's now one utility pole for whatever 40 or 60 feet and one unit per utility pole. So we're trying to keep them apart for health and safety and
Well,
Access.
and I will add to that. I spent 30 years in the fire service in Arlington, and we've had several issues with the density. And my concern is water supply, because, you know, that one's Mountain Springs, the others are, you know, private wells or whatever. And, I'm sorry, not Mountain Springs, it's Ball Creek, but there are numerous ones in Mountain Springs. I know that they don't really have fire hydrants in those areas. But I do know that once a fire starts in one of those, because of delayed response of the volunteer fire department, you're not going to stop it until it burns about 10 of them.
And that's what we try to do. We spaced them out and hoping that we would prevent one from just going
I
crazy.
have noticed that, especially the one being built on 922, so, and I do appreciate that just from a professional, you know, being an old firefighter.
Right.
we do recognize some of those concerns. The other things we've done, we've increased the minimum standards as far as access, egress, width of the roads, you know.
Yeah, there are certain sides you have to have an in and an out. You can't just have one road in.
I mean, you look at the old ones, that are established versus the new ones. You know, we've taken a huge step, but your issue's still very valid.
For 100%, I wasn't taking away, I just,
No. And I took none of it that way. I understand what the requirements are that only so much you do. I just have a generalized concern that, you know.
How many hundred of these you
A
think?
lot of those places, because I taught those kids, they go to school in Valley.
that's the way of the world. They're becoming a permanent place for people to live.
Do we have,
Because of the tax base. I mean, because of taxes. So-
do we have any idea how many there are?
He said 200, something.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, I'm talking about the whole county. I wonder how many we have.
Obviously having a lake out there, that's why.
Well,
a lot of them
yeah.
exist. But,
Is there any way we could add all those up?
I have a
Just,
spreadsheet of the new ones, I don't have.
Yeah, we don't have the old ones.
The old ones, because they weren't under any regulation.
what do we call old? What year? What year?
Whenever the RV, was it 19?
That was 19, 18?
What?
When we redid
RV
it?
regs?
When we changed all that up?
Well, the
This time
RVs
last year,
Yeah, for RVs, it's been more recent, I think,
Yeah.
21.
I thought we changed all that business with the width from the poles apart and the driveways was.
You may be right.
early 21, you were here, weren't you?
Yeah, I was already here when we
You
did
ready?
that.
Okay, it was 21.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, really.
But you're absolutely correct. And, you know, we'll continue to monitor and make sure that there's infrastructure available to support them, that they are produced in a safe manner for egress and for ingress for emergency vehicles. But Valley View's in a unique situation. You guys are going through a boom of growth. I wish there was something we could do to make it as effective a growth as we possibly could.
The way of the world now, you never know how fast it starts and how fast it might stop.
Yeah.
And the only reason I made some comments is to educate some of the public that may not know, because some folks probably feel like we're not doing anything.
And that's why I wanted to say something.
Yeah, and so,
And I went back and I read the past regulations and kind of, some of the state stuff as well. And I understand the positions they're in. I just, I just wanted to make my point.
We appreciate your concerns. Thank you for being here today.
got a hand raised.
Yeah, I'd just like to, I'm a developer of one of the RV parks, and I'd like to speak.
You need to step up here if you will, identify
Yeah,
yourself, please.
State your name.
My name is Chase Cashin, and I'm developing one of the parks that I'm looking for approval today on. Just a little bit about myself. I am also a fireman at the town of Flower Mound, and I've been building residential homes for 16 years. But just to address some of the concerns that Mr. West is over Cashin. I live just a few minutes away from where I'm proposing this park to be developed. And I understand the tax base and the effectiveness of, how does it affect we're getting more people, right? But no more tax base to support that, right?
Right.
But I wanted to just kind of give a little insight on the demographic that we are targeting is, I believe it's 47%. I could be off a little bit on that, but it's married couples that have more than 2 kids that make over $150,000 a year, and they're working remotely, and they like to travel and live in one area for 6 months at a time, right? So the park that we're designing is to cater to that person who is a working individual who has more than 2 kids. That's the demographic we're trying to hit, right? So we're trying to build something that would improve the Valley View area and bring some value to it, not just put in a gravel road and, try and make some money off of it. Because I do live close to this area, and I'm in Denton County, though, in Bolivar. I do tend to move even closer to this area because the Valley Views area is where I would like to live. I'd like to get a little bit more land. So it is important to me what we do in Cooke County, and I want to make sure that we're bringing value to that. So I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of insight to that because I totally understand the tax base, and then we're also working on the fire EMS side. I understand the concerns with that being in a volunteer area as well.
But there's no limitation on how long they can be there in an RV?
There is no limitation on that, but I would like to, it'll be self-imposed limits on how we have our restrictions as far as what they can add, right? Like permanent porches, we're not going to allow that. Because we want this to be somewhere where maybe somebody's there while they're waiting for their home to be completed, right? Maybe they're 6 months out from their home being built. Maybe they're stuck there for a year. Just for instance, right now, my in-laws just sold their house and saying they're building in Gainesville. But it's going to be a year before they build their home. you know, they make good money. They're not going to be a tax burden, if that makes sense, and they're not doing it because they can't afford a home or anything like that. It's just a temporary place for them, and we want to provide somewhere safe, and that's a nice place that also brings value to the community. And business, I would hope too, like I've driven around the Valley View Square, right? You have some really cool businesses there that I think that a lot of this is going to add to that, because there's really nothing else right there. So you have ERA and the Valley View businesses that are really going to benefit from this demographic being built there. I just wanted to kind of bring some insight to that and let y'all know where my thoughts were on that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
And just for you, some places that we do have do limit.
The state?
Yeah, and there's some stipulations, you can only allow in who you want in and out, you know, there's no rules on that, you know, so other places do have rules, so you can think about that too.
Right, so I would want to imply something that would be also, you know, we don't want to limit ourselves to the point where we're not profitable, right?
They
We do want to make it to where
like age of the units and stuff, you know, where you don't have
Absolutely.
like 50-year-old campers that are falling apart come in there. Those are things you can do too.
So part of the stipulations are going to be they have to send it before they check in. They have to send us 4 pictures from each side of the RV. I didn't want to limit because there are ones on the age limit, right? But there's actually a lot of people who've taken these and they've remodeled them and made them classics, and they enjoy just driving around, staying in these old, you know, in these parks and these older RVs. So I didn't want to necessarily put a limit on age, but necessarily how they kept it. Right?
Yeah.
So
That's a good idea. I just want to add that. So, it's your place, you can do what you want, you know, there are some options.
yes, sir.
But thank you for speaking.
Yes, thanks, sir. Did you get his name?
Chase Cashier.
All right, item 12, deliberate and consider possible approval of Farm to Market 2848 RV Park in Precinct 3.
I make that motion.
Have a motion to approve the RV park on Farm to Market 2848 by Commissioner Arndt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Clement. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. Item 13, deliberate and consider possible approval of sales order agreement with ES&S for purchase of 12 express voter machines and accessories.
We discussed those earlier, did we not, Judge?
We did.
Move to
Yes.
approve.
Have a motion to approve the purchase of additional express voting machines by Commissioner Hollowell,
Second?
second by Commissioner Snuggs. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it, 5-0. Item 14, deliberate and consider possible changes to minimum road standards in county subdivision regulations to provide for 20-year design life.
Got a few things I'll hand to y'all, and we might end up going into, we're not night, we're gonna have to do a workshop, but just some food for thought until we do that. I have Fannin County regulations. That's too much to go over. And then I have an excerpt from Denton County. And my main concerns are right now, you know, with as many subdivisions that I'm working, which is now gone up, I'm gonna say 19 from concept phase to, you know, preliminary and final approval, is we need to have higher standards on what we're bringing in. I've been able to talk a few developers into doing a higher standard on their own, but there's nothing requiring them to do that, so I can't require everybody to do concrete, but talking with some engineers, we can do a deal where we can require them to do like a minimum of 20-year service life, which is going to get us something better than just this 2-course chip seal, or it'll be just an even better chip seal product with a better base. So that's what I want to look at. And we don't have any requirements on the oil, and I had a road fail that was built just before I took office, and it has failed since I've been here, and the oil that they used was very questionable. That's something that none of us are using around here, and the oil's like basically disintegrating and the rock's just falling away. So I'd like to look at, only certain oils that we allow, and that's how Fannin County has in theirs. If you read through them, they only allow like MC30, prime coat, and they talk about the certain oils that they allow for the other coats. I know that I'm probably using different oil than y'all are using. It's going to be site specific because the engineers are going to be talking about everything.
Well, that's the problem. Right now, all we say for a base is 6 inches minimum. That's all they have to meet, and every place is different. Like you and I talked about once. I live on a solid rock hill. 6 inches of rock will stay there forever, but there's a lot of places where 6 inches isn't.
Yeah, it'll fall into the ground. But like I said, I think it needs to be more of a workshop, but I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention, and we need to act on it fast. Like, we need to act on this in the next 3 to 4 weeks, because I'm inundated with subdivision requests, and I'm not going to be able to afford to fix the roads. We've got more than we can handle right now.
Besides just bringing in engineers, I wonder if we ought to be talking to developers and real estate agents, because they're selling these houses. They have a pretty good handle probably on what works, what subdivisions in different areas are lasting longer. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I think
subdivisions.
not that I want them to engineer anything for us, but I think they have a lot of knowledge as to what's out there, and what lasts and what doesn't, or what's lasting.
Probably ought to speak with Collin County. They've probably put in more subdivisions than anybody in Texas over the last 5 years.
I feel like if we just state better in our regulations that say, you have to, each spot has to be engineered, we have to have a 20-year design life, and then, what's not in the subdivision regulations is real clear, where they bring us a road surface analysis, where the engineer says, okay, here's your 3 options. Here's 3 options for a 20-year road, and they can pick how they want to get there. Either they have to do all of this extra stuff to do chip seal, or they can do this to do asphalt, or they can do this to do concrete, and they have the 3 options. That's the cleanest way to do it. We've had 2 subdivisions do that. But we need to state in there that that's how it needs to be done. And then specify our oil, specify, rocks minimums, we've got to get on top of it. I can sit here and talk circles all day long, but we need to have a workshop real fast. And I'll have some more information to put to it, but if y'all are able to do some research to bring to the table too, that would be great. And just the thought of every road that's about to come in here right now, me having to take care of them, and they all fell on me or the next commissioner in the next 8 years. It'd be a disaster.
Say you pick up 20 miles of road this year. Well, anywhere from 4 to 7 years down the road, that 20 miles is going to be in need of repair the way they're being constructed today. And it's not going to be financially feasible for anybody sitting in one of these chairs to inherit several roads in a year, only from all go bad within a certain time. It's hard to define a 20-year road. Sound like you've got some really good ideas where they have 3 options. At some point, I think the Commissioners Court needs to consider, hey, you build them to a standard, we don't ever plan to accept them.
It might get that way too.
And then they will have sweat equity and money involved, so they won't, build them chip seal and then do the development with concrete trucks and stuff afterwards and tear them up and then say, hey, here they are, Kenny.
I'd like to see them all. And that's another thing we can put in there while I'm thinking about all this. I made notes, put the oil and rock size, and then the build out. I'd like to, we talked about this a bunch, but we can put in a specification. I think we shouldn't push for the road to be the first thing done. Maybe try to get a certain amount of slabs poured before they do come in and come in and get their base and get a hard packed base, and then they come in and start laying house foundations and driveways and get some of this heavy traffic off the subdivision before they come in and put their hardware surface on. You know, I think there's just several things we can do to push out how long the road will last.
Maybe 75% completion before they put the final coat
Yeah,
on.
at least 50.
And that's going to involve the engineer that we use to be more involved as to who's going to check on this as it's being built. Somebody's going to have to be.
And that raises a good question. I know we've talked about this before, but, you know, we're supposed to be billing the developer. Did we ever put a tool in place? Are they writing us checks, Kathy?
Yeah, they do.
The final plat can't be.
Okay, so you're actually getting checks, okay. Because I know we talked about it, and then we thought, well, who's doing it? And
No,
so-
they're doing it.
Now, we even had an instance here recently where a builder or a developer was really far along. For whatever reason, they decided to go with a new engineer. So it's got to come all the way back through our engineers and everything. So they had to write us another check, fill the hopper back up before they could continue.
Well, we've got one we've resubmitted to engineers a couple of 3 times, so. We're not having near the activity you are precinct to.
I mean, that's all I do is have subdivision meetings, talk on the phone with subdividers and engineers. And it's just, which I enjoy it very much, but we got to get on top of this. I wish I'd have got on. I talked about it a while back. I wanted to change some wording, but then I thought the wording was good. I think it's time. I'll get with y'all and set up a workshop for the next 3 weeks.
Sounds good.
So no action on this today.
Okay, we'll take no action on item 14 and move to 15.
Can we go back to that?
Sure.
So do we need to bring, we have what, 6 engineering firms that we use, that we access for this? Is it 5?
Is there 7?
Is it 7?
Maybe 7.
We might ought to include them in some of this discussion.
Yeah, one of this email I sent y'all is from one of the engineers. And they actually wrote the design standards for Denton County. Icon did, so.
And rather than bring them in a workshop, pay them all, you know, you've already solicited somebody's thought process here. Why wouldn't it be appropriate for him to go off and ask all 7 of them to prep us a document,
Well, that's fine.
you know? and then we
However you want to do it, they need to be involved in the
Don't
discussion.
disagree, but rather than have them all in the room, you know, hey, you guys, give us something that you think would meet it, because to define a 20-year road, you still got the same issue. You're sitting on solid rock, and some of us are sitting in sand, and so.
I know.
So that 3-option thing sounded really good, you know, so, but.
Well, that's fine. They can prepare us a document. You're going to end up having to talk to them sooner or later, but if you want to do the document first, that's fine.
Well, at least you got something to talk to instead of setting 6 of them out there and letting them all ad lib and sure, because all of them, you're right, going to have different ideas, and so.
Yeah, they're all going to have different ideas.
Okay, so no action on item 14. Item 15, deliberate and consider possible approval of interlocal agreement for inmate housing services with Grayson County.
We're going to have to pay the sheriff extra today?
Working overtime.
I said, we're going to have to pay the sheriff extra today?
Yes, overtime. So, excuse me, we're doing pretty good on our capacity. We're at 162 today. We were down to 140 inmates a month or 2 ago. So it's kind of a up and down, but we're in a place where we can house some inmates. So this is, ask you to approve this agreement with Grayson County. They're going to pay $55 a day per inmate. You got to remember that any penny that we bring in is more than what we had. We've already appropriated funds for the jail. By housing additional prisoners, we don't have to hire any staff. All the monies are there. So this will all be money to the good. We think we can probably start off with about 10. If it drops, we'll bring in a few more. The good thing about this interlocal is if we wake up tomorrow and we're full, we simply call them, they come pick them up. Also, there's a 30-day termination, either county can back out. So it's pretty good interlocal. And they were housing in Archer County, paying them $45. So maybe I'm a little bit of a car salesman there, Commissioner Smith, so 55. Anyway, I would recommend that we do this and do it while we can. Also, it creates a little bit of goodwill because someday we may be in Grayson County shoes, housing folks out of county, and we'd certainly like for them to extend a hand when it comes that time for us. So.
I think it's a good idea. As the sheriff said, the overhead is fixed, so this would be absorbing overhead for us.
What does it cost to keep one here? Us? What is our cost per inmate, roughly?
So, the way that at least my jail administrator calculates that is the total funds allocated divided by our maximum capacity, which is 212. You're going to come up with a number $51, $52 a day. Okay.
That's if it's full.
Now, the auditor can get more specific and go off down in there. I think we're going to end up pretty close. That's the way my jail administrator figures it.
She's going to add utilities and overhead and insurances and all that stuff, I'm sure.
Sure.
Y'all going to differ a little. But
Sure.
if you're bringing in $550 a day that you wouldn't, 10 prisoners, $550 a day that you wouldn't have, you still got the same amount of staff there.
Now, also something that's figured into our costs, and as you know, it's considerable sometimes, is the medical care for these inmates. So we don't have to pay medical care for Grayson County. So we're going to foot the bill for that. So it also, if we have an inmate, which we do at times, have to go to the hospital, and if that inmate is there for more than 4 hours, they have to send someone over to sit with them, not us. So, because as you know, for us to do that, we're going to have to call somebody off on day off, pay overtime to have them sit at the hospital. So, I think it's a pretty good gig all the way around for us. Make a little money while we can, and get to a point we can't do it, we go back out. But also, we have that ability to call them, like I said, and say, hey, we're too full today. You're going to have to come pick up 3, 5, or whatever the number might be.
Anybody got any issues with the?
I don't. Looks like it's.
How full will it be before you start turning them down? See, it was just in the paper not too long ago that we're getting full and we're considering adding on to the jail. And I know it was, I didn't write it, but I'm just wondering how full do you have to get before you have to add any more people?
Hey, Commissioner, when I spoke at the Republican Women's here a while back, I didn't see you there.
No, I didn't make it because I couldn't be there that night. I had a prior engagement.
I say that to say because I explained it. If you would give me just a second.
Sure.
Just say to you that the sheriff did not say we need a jail expansion.
Oh, I know that, but it was the public.
The judge asked me to talk about a jail expansion in terms of strategic planning. And so certainly, as with Mr. Castle back here, I served with him many years on the school board. When we think of strategic planning, I think of more than 5, 10, 15 years down the road. Will we have to have a jail expansion? Absolutely. But I doubt it's within the next 5 years. We submitted a lot of data to the Texas Jail Commission, let them put it in their computers, run them algorithms, their algorithms, give us a little better idea what we might be looking at. But full for us is probably around 185 to 190.
Yeah, you can't get it all the way full.
Right.
That's what I thought.
Well, and you have a female pod back there.
Yeah.
Female block that subtracts away from that 212 that we're always going to have to maintain. So, so 185, 190 is going to be, we're going to be full.
There's a lot coming into that by the time you take your isolation factors and have to segregate prisoners based on different offenses. So it's a tough number to go.
Well, the perfect world.
The public thinks you can put 212 prisoners in there, and that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just making sure people understand that. It's a moving target, basically.
And, you know, Commissioner Snuggs, I remember him saying, boy, I like that idea when I talked about making some money. Also, I want to clarify, if we did a jail expansion, we're not going to make money by housing prisoners, right? I'm talking about when that day comes to where we're over our limit every day, and we have to expand the jail. We might put some in there, like Grayson County or whatever, to help, but we're never going to make money off of it. Because you're talking about probably 8 to 10 million to build a 92-bed expansion, and then you're talking about $500,000 in salary per year. So it's kind of costly.
It's expensive.
You betcha.
But if we have full utilization of whatever we do have, we may not be making money, but we're absorbing overhead. This position of overhead is over a larger volume of service. So
You're offsetting costs whether you make the money or not. Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with Grayson County by Commissioner Hollowell and a second by Commissioner Snuggs. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you, Sheriff.
Okay, Judge, do you have the original document?
I do not. She has it.
So the judge, I don't want him to sign it.
Yep,
We send in their written back.
yep.
Grayson County is already approved.
We'll take care of it.
I haven't signed it yet, so.
Oh,
I'll come by
okay.
whenever.
All right. Okay, item number 16, deliberate and consider possible actions regarding Main Street parking lot. We had a workshop on the parking lot, and the commissioners want several more variations of opportunities and found some things that they now think we need to have, and I agree. We talked about adding lights, security cameras. There was a portion that is kind of dead space in some of the proposals. The commissioners had a couple of ideas on how we might better utilize that. So after the workshop, the commissioners want more options to look at. So that has been sent back to the engineer for review of the requested additional options. So there's probably going to, before this is over with, we'll probably end up with about 8 or 9 different options to choose from. Anything else on the Main Street parking lot?
We're talking with the city about, we talked about lighting. We're talking with the city about lighting.
We will. I haven't.
No one's made that effort yet.
No.
Actually, it's one of the things.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought once we get their concept drawings of where lights would be and how many there should be, then we can talk more succinctly to it.
Gotcha.
What it might cost.
Yeah.
That's going to be probably their big question. What's it going to cost?
Yeah.
Never know till you ask.
That's true. Item 17, deliberate and consider possible actions regarding the Crest building.
Nothing new right now, still waiting on them to come back with a few little options and changes that we talked about at our last little
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay, no action on 17.
They ought to have something pretty soon, though.
Item 18, deliberate and consider possible actions regarding county radio communication system.
We got slabs poured at both Sybil's Bend and Walnut Bend. We'll wait 14 days, be sure our concrete sets up well. They've already tested, I think you have 4,000 PSI requirement, and it's almost there within the first 3 or 4 days. They are assembling the cabinets with all the radio communication stuff at the Precinct 1 facility. We met with the Falter Fire Department. It seems they're very receptive to accepting our radios that we're going to surplus from the sheriff's office, and they will go with analog versus digital. I think that's about it. Anybody questions?
I don't have anything. Anybody have any questions on the communications?
And they say, once we start the tires, take about 3-4 days to build those, so that'd be kind of neat to watch.
If the wind stops blowing.
Shit.
But I want to watch them put one up in the wind like we.
Oh, man. Well, we had some delays because they were trying to put antennas on the Pentex tire.
Ooh.
And the wind has been blowing so hard that, they say when it's 30 miles an hour here, you know what, 300 or 400 foot, it's considerably more.
Yeah, I'm sure it's moving.
So that, we had a day or two delay there, but I didn't say this, but we actually do have the antennas on the Pentex tire.
So no action on number 18. Number 19, deliberate and consider possible action regarding annex.
Let's talk to this change order, the first one that you see attached for the $10,736.20. That is where we had the oversight, failed to draw in our wiring for IT communication stuff. I'll make the motion, we approve that one.
Have a motion to approve the first change order 001 to accommodate the necessary infrastructure to support the IT. By Commissioner Hollowell.
Let me clarify that. We got an option there of one or two. One's 10,000, one's 12,000. That additional monies, all that does is get us a letter certifying, as I understand it, basically, and I'm going to use the term UL requirements because most of us have seen that on some type of extension cord or something of that nature. But that's basically, we get a letter that says, hey, all this wiring and stuff meets a certain standard. We're spending about $2,000 there on a paper document that to me doesn't make sense. So I should have offered that to the court, and I can withdraw the motion if y'all would like.
But is that to do with just the electrical or the?
This is all
computer
IT stuff, Leon.
IT.
All the computer cabling. Darrell, you have an opinion on that?
Unfortunately, I missed the meeting where they talked about it, but I agree with the commissioners that if all we were getting is a letter saying it meets the standard,
Yeah.
we don't really need that. We need it to be tested and make sure that it works after they put it in. But I agree with the commissioner.
Well, I'm sure they're going to test it after they put it in,
I
right?
believe so. I think we ought to confirm.
We'll request that.
We have.
I mean,
We
Yeah.
should at least
No.
ask to say, you're testing it right even without the additional expense.
Yeah, but, the thing is, I don't need them to test it. They charge me $2,000 to give me a letter that says, we tested it, it's all good.
no, but I don't want them not to test it. And they said, well, you had the option to get us to test it.
Well,
And I can't believe that.
sometimes there's a warranty issue though, too, if they put it there and it doesn't work. I mean, because he's going to be able to tell pretty quick if it doesn't
Yeah,
work.
I would hope. I would imagine.
Thank you.
So if everybody's good with my first motion, I'll leave it. I just needed to give you options there.
I'm good with it. So I have a motion to accept change request proposal 001 from Commissioner Hollowell.
Second.
Have a second from Commissioner Snuggs. All in favor of approving the change request for the IT infrastructure over at the annex at the $10,000 mark, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
So we approved change order number one, and
Yep.
we'd all talked about that when we all knew that one was coming.
Yep.
Change order number two, and we didn't do the supplement for clarification. Change order number two is for $1,968.12. As I understand it, the $10,000 was for all the wiring. The $1,900 is to add all the boxes and termination hardware so that they can simply be plugged in. That's something that IT and I have visited about, and they would rather the contractor go ahead and do that because when they have the time and they have some little bit of expertise that our IT folks were not totally comfortable with. So I would make the motion that we approve the change order for $1,900, whatever it is, $68.12 now that I blow it up. New technology, great.
I have a motion to approve change order number 2 for $1,968.12 to put the boxes on the end of all the cabling associated with the new IT infrastructure by Commissioner Hollowell.
Second?
Have a second from Commissioner Snuggs. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it, 5-0.
For clarification, the reason some of these are on here, really the one for 1900, I don't guess had to come before the court, but the decision was made for anything over 10,000, it had to. This is in that, if we recall, the initial bid was just under $1 million. They added 50,000 contingency money, which took it over 1 million. This money's is coming out of that contingency money. It's not an increase over the initial bid.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah, good.
Did you not know that? I'm sorry.
No.
No, this is not, neither of these, and what they're doing, they're keeping a running total. We start off really, it's $49,000, I think, and $75 that was put in the contingency money. Now then, there's minus $11,000, so. Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Item number 20, deliberate and consider possible actions regarding various grant funds.
The quarterly reports for FEMA was due the end of March. I sent what was spent, but then they required a whole lot of more details, and I sent that to Amber to answer. Because it's
You losing your voice?
yes, it's questions I couldn't answer. And I gave her amount spent up to date. FEMA 2020 COVID, I need to get that submitted for reimbursement. CTIP, I'm still working on. Elections grants, they want a interim report, what was spent up through March 31st, which is going to be nothing new, since we're just now approving the sales order for the new express votes today. And then American Rescue, the first report is due at the end of this month for what we've spent so far. And
So we're busy.
From what I understand, it's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be what?
Easy.
Easy.
With all of them, it's going to consume a whole lot of your time.
Well, I mean, I thought that going with the lost revenue, but maybe it's the first time getting it all set up is not the easy part. But apparently, from reading, it's like when you go into it and if you have to get out, it's not saving what you're putting in.
So you have to change that? You have to repopulate it? Or do you get a chance to repopulate it?
Well, people have sent in tickets or concerns or questions to the Treasury, want to know why it's not saving their work. So hopefully that'll be fixed.
That's a software problem
Yeah, in their portal.
that they have, not
The
a,
treasurer, the
Yeah.
treasurer. Hopefully that's fixed. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on grants? Okay, we'll take no action on item 20. Item 21, deliberate, consider possible actions regarding the countywide burn ban. This is the one we've all been waiting for.
Since Friday, the environmental conditions haven't changed. We haven't got any more rain. But we still lack a lot of rain overall. But the greening continues pretty rapid pace. really big ones of the list I provided you is commencing or continuing burning when the wind direction or weather conditions are such that smoke and pollutants will not present a hazard. And it lists a lot of different areas, but you don't let your smoke blow across the road and obstruct vision. You don't let it blow into your neighbor's house. You don't let it blow in and interfere with businesses. So that's one in particular. And the other is that burning will not begin any earlier than 1 hour after sunrise, and you will cease burning the same day no later than 1 hour before sunset. And that's obviously specifically because of the inversion issues that at night and early in the morning, the smoke won't dissipate. And the next part of that requirement is that you don't burn if the winds are going to be less than 6 miles an hour or more than 23 miles an hour. And so the goal is to have some wind to help dissipate that smoke and get it out into the atmosphere and let it thin out before it makes anybody sick or causes any issues. But if we have winds forecast at 25 to 30 miles an hour, then you shouldn't be lighting fire. And then lastly, on the back of that page I provided are the things you don't burn. And generally you can burn materials that are taken on your property. But those are really limited to primarily your household refuse and trash as a result of your daily living, and leaves, branches, clippings, trees, that sort of material. And the list they provide is do not burn electrical insulation, treated lumber. So treated lumber is pressure treated, painted, stained. If it's not just raw, rough lumber, you can't burn it. Plastics, non-wooden construction or demolition materials, heavy oils, asphaltic materials. Everybody says, I can't burn asphalt anyway. No, shingles are made of asphalt. They're an asphaltic material. So you don't burn shingles. Potentially explosive materials, chemical waste, or items that contain natural or synthetic rubber. Well, everything manufactured today just about has natural or synthetic rubber and oil-based materials in it. Foams, clothing, mattresses, tires, almost any household product, it's not natural material. It's man-made enhanced materials. So chipboard, OSB, plywood, all of that is enhanced with glues and adhesives and other materials. So, the amount of material that you can legally burn on your property is somewhat limited, and it's that way. Smoke is not dark air. Smoke is discolored and black because it's full of contaminants that have been broken down from the material being burned. And they leave that fire area and they go up into the air. They come back down at some point. So it's on the grass that the cattle eat. It's on our houses and our yards and everything our kids play on. That isn't just dark air. It's full with contaminants. So that's something that we don't want to burn that stuff, and it's illegal. And so there are penalties available to law enforcement if they have to respond to those issues. And just want to make sure that as we may or may not at this point lift the burn ban, people understand that there are some very specific requirements they need to be following if they choose to burn on their property.
Kind of turn it off sometimes at 6 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night.
The active burning period, so shouldn't be adding anything to your fire.
Okay.
It should be just hot cold by dark. And then, you maintain your fire, stay with it. It's your fire, you light it, you're responsible for anything that happens.
Thank you. Would it be possible for you to add this to our website, what the rules of engagements, what are legal and illegal to burn, and perhaps send it to media distribution as well?
So what do you think right now? I mean,
The winds are forecast to be 25 tomorrow, 30 Wednesday, and then we drop down after that. We have some pretty decent humidity return finally today. Through the next few days, cold front will come through Wednesday, probably be dry a couple days behind that. But the fires we are having to respond to that are out there, we still have fires. They're not carrying well, they're not spreading quick. So I think at this point, if people will burn responsibly, don't think there is a significant hazard.
Part of the problem is you light a big old pile of trees on fire, y'all all know that, and you think it's pretty much burned up. The wind calms down. 2 days later, it's a 30 mile an hour, 40 mile an hour wind, and the thing lights back up and blows sparks in. I don't know how.
And we, again,
and that can't be
being
helped.
responsible, if you prepare the area appropriately, you cleared around it for an area and done the right things, and don't have it in the middle of a 2-foot-high dead pasture with no plowing around it, and then you leave it, then it's going to be a problem.
It wouldn't be a 2-foot-high pasture for long if you, if you did that.
Come back pretty and green next year.
If it rains.
So as the fire marshal of Cooke County, what's your recommendation, for it to remain or to be lifted?
I think at this time, assuming that people will burn responsibly, that I don't think it would be cataclysmic or unsafe.
Thank you, Ray. Any other questions of Ray? Thank you.
Thoughts? Chance of more rain coming Tuesday night.
Man, tonight, right?
And so humidity's up. If it rains the next 2 or 3 days, if they're burning, it won't matter. If it's, the winds die after that, then there's less risk. I'm getting some phone calls from folks who are wanting to need to burn. And I'm getting, now, you may see a dry pasture, but quite often that's surrounded by, it's turning green. Things are turning green.
It's not the green part, it's the ones that are still tall and dead, and that when that humidity goes down, that grass is just, I don't know, what does it take to take it off?
A vote.
A regular, I know, we'd have to, you can't call an emergency meeting to take it off.
Yeah, you could call an emergency meeting there, do like we did the other day, 72 hours in advance.
You'd have to do a 72-hour in advance.
Right.
So, but,
That's the question. I've got, there's always somebody who wants to burn, but I've also got concerned ranchers that talk about, can't you wait another week?
I didn't poll my fire departments before this morning, when I polled them Friday.
Well, when I polled mine before we put it on, they said they're not worked up over it. Some of it's just inevitable, you're going to get it. We can't control all the situations.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What they said, they wasn't worked up if we didn't put it on. They didn't endorse one way or another, but they wasn't worked up.
Well, I don't know, when they're going out to 2 or 3 fires a day, that starts getting old.
And still, some of the fires we've had during the band's been electrical wires down and stuff. Our band really hasn't affected one way or another.
Ray, could we get you for a minute? I know you try to keep up with this. I don't know whether you have that data in front of you, but can you tell us of the fires we've had of recent, how many were caused by carelessness?
Specific anecdotally, heard, I didn't hear over the weekend, I did have a structure fire, 3 actually in one spot, but that wasn't, it's a burn ban. I think probably daily they're being sent 2 calls of people burning during the burn ban, but I don't know that in the last week we've had any out of control, large grass fires because of any of that.
And those that chose to burn during the burn ban, we couldn't have fixed it anyway.
Right, certainly.
Those that chose to burn under the burn ban, obviously it didn't work anyway.
But most of those calls are neighbors who see people burning. It's not out of control. Big grass fire at the time, it's just they're burning and it's illegal at this time, and they're calling the authorities on that.
Yeah, since the burn ban was on, there's probably not data that is really too pertinent.
And the only one I think of was early last week. I think we have a power line down by the county line, and it burned a bit. I think they got it relatively.
No, the burn ban's never been about stopping power lines. That's kind of a given. The whole purpose of the burn ban is so the public just doesn't indiscriminately go out and light a fire and walk away. It's about teaching the public not to throw their cigarettes out in the road ditch, and that comment, we always get those comments, when you're not stopping the electrical fires, you're not stopping the foolish things that happen, and the people that are going to burn anyway, no, you don't stop them. But it's to keep everybody from just indiscriminately being reckless. That's basically as much as anything.
And my thoughts are on burn ban is that when the conditions are such that a fire that gets started outdoors may burn 2 and 3 and 4 properties and hundreds and if not 1,000
Yeah,
acres.
get away from it.
To me, that personally is when I feel that we need to have a burn ban in place. We can't, as you said, we can't stop every fire. And people will hopefully burn responsibly, and for those that don't, again, if it does get out of control, how severe is that going to be? And at this point, I think with the environmental conditions we have, that generally we're going to be okay.
Thank you, Ray.
Adam, what are your thoughts?
I think we probably could lift it. I mean, we're not, it's greening up. I do agree with Leon, though, up in the northwestern part of the county, there's some pastures that are pretty tall.
That's part of the problem, is that area didn't get the rain.
Right. And I mean, it shows on our map, but, those areas we just gotta focus on. If something does happen, we gotta get there. I mean,
My department just came in, said they're good with it lifting.
yeah.
I'll make a motion that we lift the ban.
They're good with what? I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry, I said my department's all just came back and said that they're good with it.
Fire Department.
We got the air conditioner on over here.
Have a motion by Commissioner Snuggs to list the burn ban.
Second.
Have a second from Commissioner Hollowell. All in favor of lifting the countywide burn ban? Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Sorry.
Opposed?
I hadn't voted yet. I'm debating, I'm flipping the coin.
Okay, we'll give you a minute to flip the coin.
I don't know. I'm torn between the two. I think it's a little early. I know people are going to burn anyway. I'll vote aye to lift it.
Okay, we have a vote unanimous to lift the burn ban effective today.
I'm going to put out on my social media the rules and encourage people to still use caution.
Yeah. I'll do the
Who
same.
enforces the rules?
Law enforcement, myself. He's on.
Sir?
Have we ever written a ticket to anybody under these?
Yes, sir.
I mean, outside of the burn ban?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And our fire departments can circulate this also. We do. I mean, it's people, you kind of got to help them and educate them. Our fire departments need to be active in that. I know we have at Lindsay, and it's helped us a bunch, just not having to go out on call because people understand what they can and cannot do.
No, I like this criminal outdoor burning. That would be perfect for all of our volunteer fire departments to post, both on their websites, Facebook sites. You look at it and it says, $1,000 to $5,000 fine. That'll make you scratch your head.
Yeah.
Okay, item 22, any future agenda items that Kathy needs to add? Item 23, adjourn.
Make that motion.
Have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Snuggs.
Second.
A second by Commissioner Arndt. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned.